Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is John Nerrell. I help professionals who are ambitious about their careers create their next advancement opportunity. And I want to welcome you today because today is show number 62. And today's topic is all about some tips to help get you professionally unstuck. Look, we all get those moments in our careers where we feel kind of lack of motivation, or we feel as if we're just not going as quickly as we'd like to go in our career. So I've got a few tips that I'm going to share with you today that have proven to be really effective and really just give you some things to think about today to maybe give you a little more motivation, or to light a fire underneath of you, or, you know, a gentle nudge or a kick in the right direction to help get you going. So if you are new to this Facebook Live show, welcome. It's great to have you here, whether you're watching me live or on the replay. I've got a great resource for you on my website. It's an e-workbook that you can download. It's called 3 Steps to Creating Your Next Advancement Opportunity. The web address is right there for you to go to. You simply click on the link on the website. You'll enter in your information. You'll get the download for the workbook, and it will also enter you into my email community, where I email everyone 3 times a week around various topics about leadership and careers. So with that being said, I am also still looking for guests for July and August for this Facebook Live. So if you have an interesting story about how you've created your next advancement opportunity by how you've shown up energetically and professionally in the workplace, message me, email me. You can email me at john@johnnerrell.com, and I'd love to talk with you about having you as a guest on my show and for you to share your story with everyone and all of my listeners as well. So thanks for that. All right. So here's the thing. To get ourselves professionally unstuck, we are talking about implementing some small changes that are going to lead to some bigger growth. Whenever we're stuck, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, if we're connected on LinkedIn, you saw that on Monday, I posted a photo of this car with its wheels stuck in the mud. And I chose that image because that's exactly what it feels like for me when I'm stuck. I feel like I'm so deep in the mud that it's hard for me to get out. And so how do we get out of that? Well, we either rock the car back and forth, or we get a little bit of nudge to push us forward to get some traction and get out of that mud. But whatever it is something small that has to happen to motivate us to make that kind of bigger change. So today, it is all about thinking about these smaller changes that we can implement to help get us professionally unstuck. So the first thing I want to share with you is this whole concept of acknowledge and validating. And whether this is something you do for yourself or you do for other people, the whole point about acknowledging and validating is very simply to just own where you're at. When we acknowledge exactly where we are at, we are being brutally honest and truthful with ourselves. If we wake up in the morning and we're feeling unmotivated to go to work, that's understandable. That's going to happen. You know, we don't wake up every single day in our career and are super excited about going to work. It just doesn't happen. So it's really important that we own where we're at and acknowledge and validate these components to simply get a really clear inventory about what's going on. What's the source of the lack of motivation? Maybe you had an uncomfortable exchange with your boss. Maybe a project that you're working on's gone sideways. Maybe you're not going to meet deadline, or you're going to come in over budget, and that's causing you some stress. Maybe as a leader, you're having an organizational struggle, or a struggle with some people on your team that aren't producing their best work. Whatever that is, it's really essential that we own where we're at so we can then figure out what the next steps are. Okay? And so whatever that situation is, I want you to put it in this kind of box. All right? Put it in this box that you know exactly where it is. You've identified it. It's clear. It's specific. Maybe you even give it a name, right? Maybe you give it a name of you give it a person's name, or you call it something, whatever it is. But let's give it some place, and let's give it that placeholder to know exactly what that thing is that's got you stuck. A lot of times when I'm talking with either potential clients, or I'm at networking events and I'm talking with people, one of the things they'll say to me is that they're okay where they're at, but they know it's not for the long term. They know they're getting ready to make a move, but they're unsure of exactly what that move needs to be. And oftentimes, I'm sure we felt it ourselves. I know I have. Oftentimes, it's so easy to get ourselves overwhelmed. If we think about exploring job options, that we think about updating the resume and updating the LinkedIn profile and going to networking events and prepping for interviews, and am I going to be good enough, or do I have the right elevator pitch, or is all the experience I've had throughout the course of my career really good enough for whatever this next job is? You can clearly and very easily talk yourself out of the game really, really fast. So let's take a moment to just simply think about some smaller steps where we're at, and figure out ways in which we can move forward one step at a time. So one of the things I want to share with you is this whole idea about growing your network intentionally. And there's a few ways to do this. So the first thing is to do what I like to call a network audit. Look at your stack of business cards. Look at whom you're connected with on LinkedIn or in your emails, and figure out who are the top 5 people whom you think are the best people for you to reach out to, and see if they're willing to have a cup of coffee with you, or a phone call, or a virtual meeting, and just simply ask them a question that's going to help move you forward. Maybe it's about finding another job. Maybe it's about dealing with a particular work situation. Whatever that is, we have networks because they are valuable to us and we're valuable to them. So find who those 5 people are and leverage them. Engage them in a conversation. And that is one clear way to grow your network intentionally, because you move that conversation with that person forward. Another way to do it is to start connecting with people either through a networking event, or even just connecting with people on LinkedIn. Even if you're already connected with people on LinkedIn, find a way to engage them in a different conversation. But if you're connecting with someone on LinkedIn, let them know why. Attach that personal note to the connection request, so you're not just randomly connecting with someone, but you're being really intentional about why it is you want to connect with them, and build the conversation from there. I've often described that that going through this whole job search is a lot like dating. You have to go through and go on some dates to really kind of figure out who the best fit is for you. And so in those kind of networking conversations, it is about trying to find out what's the right fit, or how is that person going to be able to best help you. If I connect with somebody on LinkedIn right away, I'm not going to immediately go to them and be like, do you want to hire me as your coach? No, that's a huge turnoff, right? So what I want to do is I want to simply introduce myself and say why I want to connect with them and how can I be a valuable resource for you, and let the conversation progress from there. Grow your network intentionally, grow it smartly, grow it competently and confidently to build relationships. You will find that as you grow your network intentionally, your network becomes more robust and richer because of it. All right, great. Here's another tip. Seek inspiration. Where do you get inspiration to help you get motivated just a little bit more? Maybe it's a particular blog, podcast, Maybe it's an article you've read or having a conversation with someone, whatever that might be. Think about how you can seek out that inspiration to move you forward. Sometimes all it takes is a conversation with a trusted colleague to have them give you an idea or to ask you the right question that helps move you forward. Seek out that inspiration as far as what's best for you. All right. And look, as you get questions, feel free to pop them up. I'm gonna just answer them as they come up. So JC, thanks so much. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, on the podcast, there's some great ones that are out there, and whether it's an audiobook you're listening to or a podcast or things like that. Yeah, if you have any good ones, feel free to pop them in there. All right. So JC, your question was, after the personal note on LinkedIn, how do you build from there? I wait a week or two. And JC, that's actually what I do as well. I typically wait a week after I send out my initial response or my initial connection request. And if I don't hear from them, I follow up afterward. I always want to acknowledge that people are busy. And so the alert might come in from their phone and then they're just going to click it. And then I might be out of sight, out of mind for a little bit, but I want to make sure I go back and re-engage that conversation. For me, as I'm building my network, especially as I'm connecting with more and more people on LinkedIn, one of the things I always try to do in that second email is to provide something of greater value to them. So it might be an article that I've seen or a blog that I've written, something that I can share with them that might help them in some way, even though I'm not exactly sure what that might be. So the other thing I will do is to always make sure in that second email, I'm asking them a question. And that's so key, because asking them a question now is a prompt for them to respond. And if they respond, now I can have a conversation with them back and forth. I often find out that when I have sent a follow-up message that hasn't included a question, I don't get a response. So as you're connecting with people in your network, JC, what I suggest is just think of a question you'd want to ask them. Something that is not going to be answered with a simple yes or no, but an open-ended question that's going to help move the conversation forward. So thanks for that. Absolutely. Chris. All right. I'm glad you liked the inspiration comment. That's great. Yeah. When I found out that my best friend's dad, yeah, right. So Chris, thanks for, I'm just reading your comment here, right? Yeah, making your job personal. Right. When I found out that my best friend's dad took the medication that I was testing in the lab, that turned my, yeah. So let me just keep that up there for a second. Let me put my head over here. Hey, if you can't laugh at yourself, right? So Chris, I love how that inspiration is so personal to you, right? It connects not only with what you do, but who you are and honoring your core values. So to have that kind of connection there and relationship with the work that you're doing that's having a greater impact overall, that's something I think everybody would like to have, and have that kind of meaningful connection in all of that. So thank you for that. Yeah. JC, thanks. So you did that with 3 new connections. Wasn't sure, but sent a clip of Sherman President. Yeah, videos are always great too. And one of the things that I found out recently as well is if you're sharing a video that has closed captioning on it, that has the text at the bottom of the screen, people tend to open those more because they can play them at work and not have to have the volume on, so they can kind of read along as they're watching the videos. So it's a little more challenging for me to do it with a video like this that goes for about 30 minutes or so like that. But there's a great app on the iPhone. It's called Clips. and you can shoot a video, and it will also voice transcribe the text on the bottom. So if you're doing a short video and you're posting that to LinkedIn, JC, and you're sharing that with somebody, that may be something you may want to consider as well if you're inclined to do video there. And I'm sure there's a compatible program on an Android platform as well. So awesome. Thank you for that. All right, here's another one. Perfect your pitch. A lot of times when I work with my clients, I ask them to tell me who they help with what specifically. I get it from my business coach. It was one of the first conversations we ever had. But in the workplace, it is so much more than simply what you do. In the career transformation space, I work with my clients. It's so much about who they are as a professional. And with that, it's about asking them, who do they serve? Who are their customers? Who are they helping? And what do they help them with, right? I had a conversation last week with an amazingly talented young professional who is trying to break into the communications industry. And we just worked on her pitch for about 15 minutes. And being able to transform her pitch that she could use at a networking event or at the start of an interview, you could just hear the energy in her voice changed because her pitch was something that she could authentically resonate with. It's why I say to people when they ask me what I do, I help professionals who are ambitious about their careers create their next advancement opportunity. Perfect your pitch so that gives you an opportunity to realize what your impact is, where your value is, and what it is that you bring differently than anybody else. So play with that. All right. And lastly is, in terms of getting professionally unstuck, decide on what support you want. If it's time to reach out for some kind of support, think about whether you're looking for a mentor, a sponsor, a coach, whoever that may be. But if you're looking for that little extra push, get really, really clear with them on why you want to enlist their help and support. I've been doing a lot of engagement right now with LinkedIn Pro Finder and answering requests from people who are looking for leadership and career coaching services. And the template that they have to use on Pro Finder is really a point and click. And then there's a space at the bottom where they can put in specific requests. And it's interesting to me how some of these proposals are really vague. And so my response to them always back is, how do I help you? What is it specifically that I could help you as your coach that's going to help move you forward? And I'm really clear with people that I'm not a headhunter. I'm not a recruiter. I don't find jobs for people. That's not my space. I know people that do, and they're great at it. And I'm always willing to refer. But for me, it's about helping people transition from that conversation about what they do professionally to who they are as a professional. And those things are huge motivators and influencers to help get them unstuck and to move them forward. So ultimately they're able to take action. Remember that the end result here about getting unstuck is all about taking action. So how is it that you get to move forward? So that small step, if that small step for you is to reach out to somebody to say, hey, I need your help. And it's someone within your organization where you're looking for them to mentor you or to sponsor you, great. Find that person, go for the ask, and see if they're willing to do it. If you're looking for outside help, someone like me, then it's all about saying, hey, how can you help me as a coach? And how can you help me reach my goals? But whatever that is, find out what kind of support it is you want, and then very simply go for the ask in that. All right. Let me pause here for a few minutes. If there's any other questions or reactions, feel free to go ahead and put them into the box. I want to thank you all for just kind of hanging out. I thought today's show was going to be a little bit on the shorter side, but the fact that you've all stuck around and asked some really good questions, I appreciate that very, very much. So thank you. All right. So give people a few more seconds if you just want to pop anything in. to the question box. But hopefully these ideas are really just designed to help trigger some thoughts for you. And just to simply go back and reiterate is that it's understandable that we may feel a little bit stuck. We just need to own where we're at. When I talk about these 6 steps for how we show up energetically and professionally, that's step number 3. It's about owning where you're at. And when we own where we're at, we get to stand in our truth with a capital T, to really decide how it is we are going to move ourselves forward. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for joining me today and for watching the replay. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, click the like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. What I'd also appreciate is if you know someone who's professionally stuck, share this video with them. Maybe they can listen to it at some point or watch it while they're on a break, just to give them a few thoughts or ideas about how to move themselves forward and get unstuck. So again, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next week with another topic. So until then, have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks.